My name is Frank Wolf, farm for Lester Wolf Farms with my brother, Scott. And that is why we don't get anything done on our farm. We're approximately 20 miles south of Pullman, Washington. We're fortunate that all of our ground is annual cropped, so we were able to get a crop off of 100% of our acres. We are on the rolling hills of the Palouse, so extremely steep cropping system in comparison to the rest of the country. We're what would they consider a low input cropping system, so it's grains, legumes, which are going to be either lentils, garbs, or peas in our rotation. I really like growing crops and the business aspect of it, trying to figure out new things to implement onto our farm that's going to make us more efficient. Back when my grandfather was farming, cover crop really wasn't that big of an idea. So they did a lot of yellow blossom sweet clover in the rotation and did a plow down. And then they grow a winter wheat crop off of it. And that was their rotation at the time. And so now we're trying to refigure out how to implement that back into our system, but not lose the cash crop on one of those years. Well, we first started kind of looking at cover crops in 2013. Cover crop is part of this movement for regen ag. We are lacking a lot of biology in our soils because of all the synthetics and practices that we use to degrade them. So the cover cropping is the hope that we can utilize that in between our cash cropping system to support biology and rebuild some of that network in the soil biology, stop the chelating of chemistries from the chemicals that we do apply, and get those to promote back into a useful element. The biggest goal for getting cover crop on our farm is one, I wanted to see less use of fertilizers, chemicals, fungicides, pesticides, and then also to have the growing living root support the biology. The biology is going to help mineralize the elements that are tied up in the soil and release them. So really trying to get that symbiotic relationship between the ground and the crop that we're going to try to grow in the next cash crop. We get no moisture until late September, early October, which is unique to our area compared to the rest of the country. And then it turns extremely cold when we do get our moisture. So a lot of those annual plants aren't conducive to grow in those types of conditions, and they froze out on us. Since then, we've done a lot of different trials within cover cropping within our cropping system. We're all worried about the ROI on it, and we have hurt ourselves by not planting enough seed. We were shooting for roughly 1 million seeds per acre. We needed to be, I think we settled on about 2.5 million. And it really raises the cost of the cover crop, but it's impressive to go out and look at those fields now. It's not a lot of biomass above ground, but the root structure below ground. And to be able to go out there the middle of January when we had roughly 2 inches of frost in the top 2 inches of soil, to break through that frost layer and see the living roots that we could find worms. So if we've got worms movement, that's to me showing that the other microbiology is firing as well. There's no cookie cutter recipe for cover cropping. I see this as a steep learning curve, but it helped us learn what worked, timing, what didn't work. And I think that's an important attribute of what didn't work so that we can go back to the drawing table and figure out how to tweak it. What was nice about Western SARE is it allowed us to not have to put our capital outlay to learn that practice. The hope is once we learn some of these practices, we've been documenting it, and then Western SARE can share that experience on with other people so they don't have to go through that learning curve or the expense. So yes, it's helped. I mean, just on the monetary component of it, but also the flexibility of being able to go out there with an idea and try to adopt it and tweak it as we needed to.